Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Iowa 911 Communications Council meeting for Thursday, February 12th, 2026. I'm your chair, Rob Rotter. Kara, could we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Chris Collins.
Present.
Jeff Miller.
Here.
Jane McShee. Mike Bryant.
Bryant's here.
Eric Daw. Or Tom Berger.
Tom Berger's here.
Thank you. Lynn Tazioli.
Lynn is here.
Josh Dutton.
Here.
Rob Dennert. Adam Welp.
Here.
Tom Weeble. Very no form.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
No second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. And could I get a motion to approve the January 8th, 2026 minutes?
Collinsburg. Third.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Lynn second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. Motion carries. Blake, do I have a report?
And it's a little bit of a lengthy one, so we'll just dive right in. Starting with the program financials, this closes out the quarter that ended the end of December. This information has been sent out, but just to review it. First up, the PSAP payments and corresponding invoices. Again, it looks a little bit different than the last few years, but it's the same exact thing that was sent out the first quarter. It shows the full payment amount in the column labeled payment amount. The percentage of pass-through that was determined that we needed to withhold was 8.3%. That's listed. The corresponding invoice amount to that percentage is the next column. And then those counties that have signed an MOU with us, allowing us to withhold that amount on the front end, you can see that payment amount that was made to them. So those checks would have gone out a week or so ago with the same 30-day term. Try to get that in as soon as possible. And I'll have an update on where we were at with payments from the first quarter here in one of my slides when I get there. But just continuing on with the quarterly expenditures. Again, this looks similar to what kind of how we redesigned this for the first quarter. We received $8.2 million in wireless surcharge. You can see the interest was $26,000 and prepaid over $500,000. And similar to the first quarter, we only, while the department has authorized $300,000, what's listed here is just what we spent in the quarter. So that's listed there. As a reminder, we received word that the final wireless carrier was done invoicing us for cost recovery. So nothing is listed there. That's the wireless service provider there with the dash at the total expended. And then you can see the normal network recurring costs totaling $3.4 million, and the 60% to counties is 5.3. And then what we were short was $442,861. That is the amount that we invoiced. It comes out to 8.3% of that pass-through amount. And then again, coming down, you can see where we spent money and the public education and training, virtual consolidation costs, and part of the network enhancements, which includes the data center moves as well as PSAP moves, so that you can see both the quarterly breakdown as well as the year-to-date breakdown. Any questions on the quarterly financials before I move on? I have to adjust my slides here. All right, you should see those slides. All right, so I went over the program financials. Just an update that all counties did remit their invoice amounts back to us for quarter one, fiscal year 2026. There were a couple stragglers. There's no penalties. Again, the law says you have to remit that back to us within 30 days. So just kindly ask that you try to get that as close to 30 days as possible. Went over the amounts that did come in under our quarterly projection that we had sent out previously. And then just for everyone's information, the updated quarterly projections are now listed on the screen as well. In the room that looks a little hard to see. Hopefully it's easier online, but I'll send this out as well as the breakdown county by county for the next 4 quarters. So as you're looking at this, the first 2 numbers there are what we've already invoiced Q1, Q2, fiscal year 2026. Those numbers are real. Everything to the right of that dark black line is what we project. So you do kind of see the numbers stabilize a little bit. The other thing that I'll point out with these projections is as far as the next gen 911 upgrades that we've talked about, that's not the data center moves. That's the IP points of ingress that we'll be asking wireline carriers to meet us at. We've gotten some refined numbers from ICN and that we've proposed to those wireline carriers. And I think we're really close to an agreement. The amounts came in significantly lower than the quote that we had been operating off of from the last 12, 15 months ago. So those lower numbers for that project are now reflected in this projection. So you see those numbers start to stabilize a little bit. Not looking any farther than 8 quarters out at this point. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, in Q3, fiscal year 29, but all the known work that we have to do, including those the next gen transition numbers are now in here, and they're more up to date than we had been working off of. Any questions on this slide? Moving on, I'm sure there's a lot of interest in what is going on with the legislature. There's been a lot of activity this week. So to recap, there were 3 911 bills that were introduced the first 36 hours of session. For the most part, those were not touched until this week, and then this week they were all touched. So Senate File 2022, kind of widely socialized as the APCO-NENA bill, introduced by Senator Dawson, had a subcommittee this week. It passed subcommittee. It was on the schedule for full committee with an amendment, and at the last minute, they did not take that up. Now, what I'm going to share with all of this is only as good as the information as literally right now, the words coming out of my mouth. That might change later this afternoon. It might change next week. That's my caveat. So just, again, it likely appears dead, but that doesn't mean it is dead. Next week is funnel week. That's when it becomes a little bit more actually dead. But again, it does not look like it will be moving forward. Senate File 2023, a bill by Senator McClintock. That bill was just going to strike last year's language that allows the department to invoice counties. It also passed subcommittee. It was initially on the full committee agenda, and it was also removed from that. So again, I think it's dead, but it has another week to get out of committee if something changes. And then finally, Senate Study Bill 3008 from Senator Webster is a bill that initially was going to have 911 service boards be managed and kind of taken over by emergency management commissions. It was going to require consolidation so that there was only 1 PSAP per county. And then it also had some funding preferences or funding rules in there to basically fund PSAPs other than the surcharge, basically ways that you could fund the rest of your operation. So before that even had a subcommittee meeting, there was an amendment that had been socialized and sent out over email. So there's nothing I can point you to on a website at this point for that amendment. And it does a number of things. It doesn't necessarily get rid of 911 service boards. It almost implies that emergency management commissions will continue to operate 911 service boards, but kind of underneath the commission. But it also doesn't actually say that. It just really kind of implies that it tasks emergency management commissions with a number of things related to PSAPs, and then it tasks emergency management commissions with appointing the 911 service board chair, which is limited to 3 positions: the sheriff, a fire chief of a large city, and a police chief of a large city. And I guess just for everyone's information, some of those references or positions aren't necessarily inherently on the service board. The sheriff obviously is, but the other two aren't inherently on the service. The amendment also raises the surcharge to $1.20 for both wireline and wireless. It continues to require consolidation, one PSAP per county. And then it also penalizes any county that doesn't consolidate, that they will continue to receive a $1 surcharge instead of the $1.20 surcharge. That in and of itself becomes a little bit hard math for us to try to manage and do that remittance at that with that exact wording. So I'm not sure if that will change, stay the same, or what, but that particular wording is a little bit hard for us to manage. So yesterday during that particular subcommittee, a lot of people hadn't seen the amendment. Some people were talking about the amendment. Some people were talking about the actual bill. But that bill passed. So it is currently in local government. Local government is scheduled for a full committee meeting today. At the moment, that bill is not on the agenda for the full committee. So I don't know if there will be an amendment to the amendment before the committee, if the committee will take up the current amendment or what. But it's also been stated by multiple senators that if there is a path forward for a 911 bill this year, it is likely this Senate Study Bill 3008 in whatever form it eventually takes. I think that's it on legislation. Any questions? And I know there's another spot for legislation in the agenda. Just any questions for me? Okay, I will continue. Just an update from the last meeting. It's the kind of the time of the year where we have to file reports with the legislature. So we filed 2 911 reports, the biannual PSAP expenditure report. That's the lengthy spreadsheet that you all submit to us on your PSAP expenditures, and we roll it up into a statewide aggregated data set. That was submitted. We do that every other year, as well as then the annual legislative report. We did kind of retool that report a little bit. It's a little bit more modern. It's a little bit shorter. So if you're interested, it's out there on the legislative website, and I believe on our website as well. So that's out there if you're interested. The admin rules are really kind of to the finish line. The final step will be in the admin bulletin February 18th, effective March 25th. We did receive a couple comments, most from industry, that doesn't really impact PSAPs at all. It's really kind of their interaction with our office, and so we did incorporate those changes. Again, don't expect any issues with the final adoption and filing part of the new admin rules that we produce. And then finally on this slide, I sent this information out late yesterday. I know a lot of you had brought up in this council meeting as well, the status of the Language Link Master Agreement that Department of Administrative Services had signed previously that had been allowed to expire and kind of in a little bit of purgatory the last couple months. But I did find that there is a new contract in place. I sent that information out yesterday. If you want to renew, or if you're interested in executing a contract for the first time, the points of contact are in that email with DAS and as well as with Language Link. Again, that contract does not go through our office. I have no real insight on that contract. The best you can do if you reach out to me is I'm going to turn around and give you the contact with Language Link and with Department of Administrative Services. But the information is out there if you're interested in pursuing. Outstanding annual forms, much better than previously shown. There's 4 outstanding service board membership forms, 5 expenditure collection forms, and 6 PSAP update forms. As a reminder, on the expenditure collection form, that deadline is in March, and then we have to start withholding payment. So it would be the next quarterly payment that we would have to withhold 35% on top of what we already have to invoice. So those 5 in particular are going to want to get those in. Update on GIS grants. In the month of January, all 99 counties met the benchmarks. And Public Education and Training Fund, you do not have any training funds to consider today. You can see the amount that is remaining. I would just encourage APCO and NINA to get your applications in for the spring conference as soon as you can. That concludes my part of the brief. Any questions for me? Hearing none, I will turn it over to Paul with Zetron.
Thanks, Blake. I think Marie is going to kick us off.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Marie Carlson, the account executive for Zetron here in Iowa. And we're going to start off with the program updates. With the update on the Comtech host move, Zetron and Comtech are preparing to begin testing in the shared services lab. And just a reminder that PSAPs do not need to reach out to Zetron or Raycom regarding any max call taking systems, including non-shared services systems regarding the Comtech host move. We are managing the coordination centrally. Zetron is scheduling a shared services user group conference in conjunction with the spring APCO NINA conference. So please save the date for April 22nd, 2026. And more information and agenda items will be coming out soon. And please reach out to me with any topic suggestions that you may have. But you will not want to miss it because there's going to be some exciting updates and training available. So I hope to see you all there. Integrations, we have shared services PSAPs that have successfully integrated with Prepare 911, GovWorks, and RapidSOS AI solutions. So if any agency is interested in exploring that, please reach out to me and we will navigate that and get that going for you. Next slide, please. This map reflects the current statewide shared services footprint, and we continue to see strong engagement and participation across the state. And if there's any PSAPs that have not taken the opportunity to fill out an intake form to get a quote, just reach out to me and I can get that sent to you so that you can submit one and we can go through that together. Next slide, please. Online Training Portal is a statewide virtual learning management system providing unlimited online training. It is free to all PSAPs, and participation in Iowa Shared Services is not required. So just a reminder that any PSAP can take advantage of this. Each PSAP receives a dedicated service administrator to assist with portal administration, learning paths, and reporting. And there are more than 800 courses available, and agencies can upload their own materials and vendor training recordings. So just a reminder that max call taking training remains available for new hires and refresher training via this portal. Since January, there have been 21 new users, 600 additional course enrollments, and 100 courses completed. And with that, with the next slide, I will turn it over to VP Paul Guest to cover the next slide.
Thanks, Marie, and thank you, everyone. Blake wanted me just to provide a quick update on the voice logging situation within the state of Iowa. I understand that there's been some information circulating around, so we just wanted to put out our position. From a statewide shared services perspective, the recording solution is Eventide at the hosts. That's where we do all of the voice recording for 911 calls at the hosts for all of the shared services PSAPs. We have no planned changes for that service at this time. We just recently upgraded the entire infrastructure and expect that to last throughout the current term of the contract. We have confirmed ongoing support for the maintenance of this, both with Waltech and with Eventide. So support remains steady in place based on all of our current information. And as long as Eventide's an available and supportive product and service, we plan on continuing with that path. On the PSAP side, PSAP recorders are purchased independently and supported outside of the shared services contract. So each agency acquires their own voice recording solution. Our position remains unchanged regarding the ability to interface the host service with locally managed Eventide recorders. Of course, there's a fee for that interface for the licensing and the security aspects. And then just from a procurement or licensing or support options that are available to the PSAPs, we encourage the PSAPs to work directly with your local vendor and just gently remind you that yes, Ctron is also a supplier of recording solutions should you want to contact us. With that, I'll take any questions, and if there's no questions, pass it back to you, Blake. Thanks again.
Thank you. Any final questions before I turn it back over? Hearing none, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Blake. As mentioned, we don't have any training fund requests. On to reports. Do we have any technical advisories? Okay, hearing none. Could we get an update on Iowa Interoperability Governance Board, Nichols?
Sure, thank you, Chair Rotter. February's topic for review in the committees is standard 1.5.0, ISICS interoperable thought groups. We're just talking about basic aspects of use in the RIC committee meetings and communications supervisor group committee meetings. Update on the IMED project. The WAVE virtual server was installed at the JFHQ core. Testing was successful last Thursday. Many of the ambulance mobile radios have been installed. The next big project is to work with our hospitals to get the WAVE application into the hospital. On a side note, I did happen to be training and listening to the WAVE dispatch console yesterday when that bus accident happened in Calhoun County. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to comment on the success of the system and how it provided interoperable communications during that. I heard a really coordinated and expansive response on the talk groups and really good work by a lot of people. In the meeting following this, the ISICS board meeting, I'm looking to get a ComEx approved for the end of April, the last week in April in the Lewis Hills. So if you have interest in being a part of that or working on a physician task book, I think that will be happening. The state's TA requested INTD is tentatively approved through CISA, and I'm working to coordinate that, find a location and dates. It looks like it'll be held this spring as well. We're working on a couple of standards. The National Weather Service Talk Group standard is drafted, and I wanted to make sure to mention it here because it is now being widely shared amongst emergency managers, but also the dispatch community, because what we're looking for is to make sure the operations procedure is where it needs to be, and you folks will be the ones who utilize that the most or do currently utilize it. So please, if you see that, take an opportunity to read it over and make sure it says what it needs to say. That's all I have.
Any questions? Thank you. All right, moving on. Could we get an update from U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, Mr. Myers?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning. Always appreciate the time to speak before the council. So on the first slide, we have kind of a general informational slide. It's about our known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, also called KEV. This is different than what you may have seen elsewhere, where we have common vulnerabilities and exposures, or CVEs, listed. KEVs have a little extra scrutiny applied to them in that this takes what's in the CVE catalog where we know that we may have a vulnerability somewhere and applies the rubric to it of, hey, is there evidence that says that this is being exploited by a threat actor in the wild? And if it is, and there's a clear remediation action for the vulnerability, it gets thrown in the KEV catalog. So what this basically does, this tells you, hey, there's a shortcoming here potentially with the system. It is being exploited by a threat actor, but there's a fix for it and what that fix actually is. So you can use the KEV catalog in a number of ways. What we see a lot is that it helps agencies understand which CVEs are actually being exploited by those that intend to do us harm. And it can also be used to prioritize how you would patch these system vulnerabilities. And this applies to everything, whether it's Windows, Office products, router switches, modems, any of your other types of operational technology you may have incorporated in your PSAPs, your communication systems, your jail systems, it's all in there. The nice thing about the KEV catalog is it is downloadable in several formats, traditional Excel, all the way up to more sophisticated programming libraries where you can do some auto parsing and some neat things to help sort through all that data. The KEV catalog does go back quite far. I believe it goes back into the late 90s. So there's a huge array of things that are in there. That is available on our website for your viewing pleasure, and hopefully it helps you assist with the resiliency and other types of cybersecurity operations of your networks. Now, speaking of operational technology, before on the next slide, there is a new guide that has recently been released. This is an international project. CISA was a part of that, but this is for secure connectivity principles for operational technology. Think of all the little sensors you may have built into your operations now. Are doors locked? Are they unlocked? Are they opened? Are they closed? Other things that may come into play with respect to cameras. This outlines 8 key principles that you can use to make sure that your data for all those systems is secure and robust and also properly compartmentalized within the network. There's several principles here that are good for agencies to look at, including hardening the boundaries of where your network is and where that equipment likely sits, how to limit the impact of a compromise, then also make sure that you have an isolation plan for anything that might be compromised in the future. This is available for download. It does go to an external website. It is thoroughly vetted, but it does have a pretty good read for those of us that are looking at further fortifying our security posture with operational technology, because OT is taking more and more of a prominent role in the things that we do every single day. Last slide of new material is a little bit of a meatier topic, but it's a good discussion to have now before we actually get to the era of post-quantum cryptography. What that means is, what does the next phase of encryption look like when we have computers that in theory could try to crack modern encryption algorithms in less than 5 minutes? How do we keep that data secure? This is a follow-up to an executive order that directed DHS and CISA to publish product categories of what we're using today and how they may have to operate in a post-quantum world. And how this affects organizations is that at this point, we have widely available technology that relies on encryption, but we need to make sure that it's secure in a post-quantum era, as in a threat actor could get a post-quantum machine in theory, get data that is from our organization and try to find out what is inside of it, even if it's encrypted. This is a problem because some of the data we use has a very long secrecy timeline, right? You think about criminal justice information, you think about other things that contain PII or other types of records. This is a fairly sizable deal. The technologies listed include cloud services, web software, networking hardware and software, and also endpoint security and other things that would be potentially an issue for your organization. Now, this document's not for everybody. This is for the technically minded folks that are managing your network and making sure that, as an example, your CJIS is compliant or things of the sorts. This is available for download. It is a lengthier read. It's very deep in its information, but it is a good stepping stone for a larger strategy to make sure that we can operate in a post-quantum world effectively and as securely as we need to. Last slide, we have some regional news of note for those of us here that are paying attention to what we're doing elsewhere within the region. Of course, you heard Swick-Nichols talk about the tactical dispatcher course before that just got approved. We're also assisting Illinois with a SCIP refresh. We have a state-sponsored comms technician course coming up in Jefferson City, February 23rd through the 27th. And then, of course, we're assisting Kansas with some interoperability advisory committee governance documents. We're working on some requests for Nebraska. And then, of course, there is the FIFA monster that's taking place in Kansas City. We're also doing some things down there. That is my report for the month, Mr. Chair. I can go ahead and take any questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Are there any more legislative issues that need to be discussed?
Mr. Chair, this is Mike Bryant.
can you hear me okay?
Hey, Mike, just a second. We lost everyone in the room, so just
Okay.
a quick second, and we're gonna try to get the room audio and visual set back up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Mike, are you still with us?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
We can, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Before I start, I have one question for Blake. So on the proposed legislation, I know it's not easy to answer a question because we don't even know for sure what the bill's going to look like, let alone passing. But if we made an assumption based on what you told us today that PSAPs that were one per county would get the $1.20 and the others that get that didn't comply would only get the $1. Would it be possible? I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. Would it be possible then that you'd have to run two different formulas?
Yeah, I chatted with my finance person about that. And setting the policy side apart, just offering technical, trying to get the language better from a technical perspective. We suggested if that is what they want to do, to give us a percentage versus having two separate pots of funding, because we really don't know how to do that either. Somehow we'd have to have a pot for $1 counties and a pot for $1.20 counties, and we don't really know how to do that. So that was kind of the technical feedback we provided. You know, if you're going to go down this road, you know, give us a percentage, because that makes it a whole lot easier to mechanically do those payments.
Okay, thank you. So I did attend, for those on, I did attend all the subcommittee meetings this week. I don't know how to say it other than shortly, but it appears to me that the only way, in my opinion, over 30 years on the council and 35 years down at the Capitol, the only way we're going to see an increase in the surcharge is with a bill that's going to include something with consolidation. What Blake didn't mention is also in there was a time schedule for that consolidation plan and deadline. It was noted by some that was a fairly aggressive time. I think it was a 5 or 6 year time period. Don't quote me exactly, but something in that time frame. So I don't know either what things will look like, but and I guess in my world, stating maybe the obvious, if you're sitting in a county with one PSAP, you're probably in favor of $1.20. If that's where it ends up at, that was what was talked about. If you're in a county with two, I guess, or more, I guess it depends upon a lot of other things. And so I'm still trying to wrap my head around, and if anybody else has anything, they can speak up now or call me at home and tell me, but I'm trying to get my, because the only difference that I see on the funding is with each PSAP gets the $1,000. Again, $1,000 is $1,000. It's a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to everybody, but it isn't a major factor. I'm just trying to still wrap my head around all the positives of only having one PSAP per county. And maybe the only person that could really answer that would be Senator Webster. But that's still where I'm struggling at is what's the total. There's always pros and cons, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole benefit of that. But anyway, I know I'm not saying a lot of meaningful stuff because I was probably more confused when I left there than when I went before I went. And I think that's kind of where it's at. So I don't even know how we as a council can do anything or whether there's even anything for us to do. But I had previously talking, for those that don't know, a conversation with the sheriff who was busy, and I said that I would attend to try to get as much input. I mean, I spoke, for those that don't know, I am in Story County. I know we have two PSAPs. I represent the professional firefighters. I have to vote how my organization wants me to lean to, but I also check with my home, as I call it, Wright County, to see how things are there, as well as, some other counties around where I know people. So I try to get an overall state perspective of everything over the time that I've been on the council to try to take a position or to help or to stay away. Anyway, not a lot of meaningful stuff there, just that I tried to learn, and we're trying to monitor and see what's going on. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Mike.
There was one question in the chat. It's addressed to Mike, but maybe it could be from anyone. Did you get any information about why they're so aggressively trying to push 911 under EMA to change the board structure when that's already an option? And that references the law that was passed a couple of years ago that allows that to happen with 2/3 voting membership of boards and commission. Why force that part? I'm one PSAP county and I'm not for it just because of the surcharge increase. This feels like it has much wider implications. From Samantha Bruns.
Any other questions or comments on legislative issues? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to information sharing by council members. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak on anything from here or virtually? Okay, how about any unfinished business? I don't see any. New business or travel requests? We don't have any. Is there any business from the floor in this room? Hearing none, is there any business from our virtual participants? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Leonard.
Your second?
Berger, second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Regarding
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
access to functional needs,